And now we're going to talk about friendship circles. The more friends you have, well, the more connected, I suppose, the happier you might be. You may feel that your life is enriched. A new study has been examining and has interesting suggestions about the effect that friends will have on how you cope with physical pain. An experiment carried out on 100 volunteers seemed to suggest that having a wide circle of friends was a very good indicator for how long you could put up with discomfort. Katerina Johnson from the University of Oxford is lead researcher. Katerina, tell us briefly how you set up the experiment and what it proved.
Yeah, so we know that people vary considerably in the size of their social networks, and we were interested in whether this may be related to differences in their neurobiology. And when we had our participants in, we asked them to fill out a questionnaire relating to the two sort of closest layers of their social networks, which correspond roughly to people you see at least once a week and once a month. And then in terms of measuring the pain tolerance, we used a simple physical test known as the wall sit, which is basically like having to squat against the wall with your back against it and your knees at right angles.
Sure.
So it's sort of like sitting on a chair.
So it's pretty uncomfortable. I'd suggest listeners not to try it at home. So you weren't actually testing directly for sort of pain-killing endorphins, these things, but you reckon that there is quite a strong indication of the two, of kind of like friendship and ability to put up with this discomfort?
I mean, we had to bear in mind also that this is sort of a test of muscular pain. But even when we sort of allowed for individual differences in fitness, people who held this position longer also tended to have larger social networks on average. And yeah, it's hard to look at endorphins directly because they stay in the brain. And this requires sort of very detailed brain imaging technique. So instead, we had like lots of participants come in, and we relied on the fact that endorphins are basically our body's natural painkillers. But as well as being involved in our pain system, they're also really important for our pleasure system, and they're responsible for these sort of feel-good factors that we get. For example, when we interact with our friends. And previous studies have suggested that if we disrupt this endorphin system, it can really sort of affect how we experience social reward and also sort of impair our ability to.
So with a wider social circle, we have more natural painkillers. Is the simple top line?
Well, that's what this seems to definitely correspond to. But
very good. Thank you very much indeed. A lot more research, of course. Katerina Johnson, many thanks indeed.